Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Today we are finally getting into maps, which is pretty awesome. I did go ahead and situate a little bit of gear and killed Katava after finishing the lab yesterday, just because that stuff's not very exciting for stream. I also went to the stock Divine Ire because it does somehow reduce a little bit of visual clutter. So we're doing that. My colors are a little bit off on the gloves specifically. So we had to move some stuff around, but that's just so I can run 16% cast speed rings. Now, if you're not running Divine Ire, the 16% cast speed rings may not be worth it. But since I'm running Divine Ire, it does greatly reduce the initial hit timer, and it does get significant more cast out, which is why it's very good. Because our sockets are kind of reduced, what we're going to be doing is using a fire trap with Culling Strike, because it should give us coal on essentially like the burning ground. We still do have lightning trap going on with Pierce, it just doesn't have cluster trap, so it won't be quite as dominant as it was. But as soon as we get another pair of gloves that work a little bit better, then we can absolutely do that and make that change back over so we can actually run a proper 4-link lightning trap. And then we can also have like a little bit better of a call scenario. We do want to pick up weapons. Our shield's in pretty good place. Most of our gear is actually in a pretty good place. I did go ahead and get a 5-link. I did go ahead and, like I said, get 16% cast speed rings. And then I dropped pretty good boots while leveling, so I'm still using those. Eventually we'll want to upgrade them, but it's not like a big deal for now. We are capped on everything, so just kind of our defensive stats, you can see that. Eventually we will want to try to get a higher armor percentage than what we have right now. Good news is that we can scale a lot of that with endurance charges. They scale armor really well, as well as the flask. As you saw when the flask is up, we're at basically like 90%, which is fantastic. We do have a fair amount of regen. We are running multi-totem now, so we do have all 5 Divine Ire totems, which is really cool, but you can see we're getting around 400 life regen per second, which, considering we're also able to manually evade a lot of stuff, does give us a pretty good chunk of survivability. And then on top of that, we can go ahead and, like, you could technically probably run Righteous Fire with like a little bit of tweaks to this. I'm not going to do that, just because it's more investment on that side than I would really want to be in. The other thing is we don't have Soul Mantle, we don't have Soul Flagellation. I still do have the Divine. I did check prices around, and Divine seemed a little low compared to what I could just buy with the Chaos that I've dropped. I have done a couple of maps, so this isn't like my first map, but it's like my 4th. And that was just so I could get a little bit more Chaos to finish out the gearing. I need the... Oh, we definitely want... I will take all of them. Never hurts to have extra utility flask early on. So normally, like, the flask mods are kind of not good. But early on I find them kind of useful, just because you get the various utility flasks that you may want to use. And like that's a huge upgrade on Quicksilver just by default. I can craft much better rolls on it than on my current Quicksilver, which is fantastic. And you can see we're doing decent DPS. We do have a lightning shield as well as a lightning dagger that is fractured with fire res, unfortunately. But both of them do have +1 to lightning. Neither of them have +1 to lightning and cast speed, which is what we are really looking for. We really want as much cast speed on basically every piece of gear as we can possibly get. It does give us just a significantly better experience. And so we do eventually want to go ahead and do that. But as far as the initial part, it just kind of works for us for the initial. And you can see we're not even using Flame Dash anymore. We're just using Frostblink just because of the curse. We want to keep that curse up as much as possible. The other thing is with 5 totems, it is pretty significant, the damage increase we're getting from that. I believe that the DPS on the totems is calculated per totem, not for all 5. I could be wrong on that though, on the thing. We can pull it up in PoB at some point, once we get, you know, a few more levels and we get it kind of situated where we want it. And as you can see, we're just kind of toting them up. We can deal with pretty tanky mobs, even if it's not super fast. Let's see if that coal works. Oh, it looks like it does. Fantastic. Coal's one of those hard things when using totems specifically, because so many things will coal and so many things won't coal. I think my favorite use of it is Stormbrand, which is what I really wanted to do, just because it can attach and it can also crit, which is fantastic because that helps proc our elemental overload. But at the same time, it's probably better to have the lightning traps just for the clear speed, if nothing else. Because they do add quite a bit to clear speed. But yeah, so there's still more than 50 here, so we may go back and backtrack a little bit. Probably not on this layout. This layout's kind of bad. Kind of what I'm going into is the Blight Oil Extractor. I want to get that, and I want to get that pretty quickly. And then I probably want to start working on what I want to block out. After that, I am trying to get the like the base maps kind of out of the way, so I don't really have to worry about those, which will help. I guess I should go ahead and just ID that Quicksilver, because it could legitimately just be better than what I have now. Where is it? It's right there. Okay. More recovery. And yeah, that's gonna have to be rolled on, so we'll just kind of wait on it. any of these really good. We can go ahead and put that up and that up. None of that's particularly great for us, or like super sellable. So we'll just continue on. I might be running out of, yeah, I'm running out of wisdom scrolls again. I may have to sell some more transmutes here in a little bit, just to make sure that I get that part kind of handled. I guess we can try out Delirium Mirror now. We got pretty good DPS.
All high and mighty, O powerful God Slayer.
And then I believe the next event starts next Friday, so there's a little bit of an overlap. Because I think it's the 4th. I can't remember when Delve starts. Maybe it's the 14th. But anyway, I will have the Delve guide out hopefully fairly soon. I still have one more option that I'm working on, and I need to get kind of like all the way completed and written up on the notes section. And then once I do that, then I will go ahead and get that up, as well as a link to the loot filter and the various ways that you can access that and modify that as you so choose. The one thing I will say about Delve specifically is most of the time the like filter blade or the profile ones will work if you just link them. However, I have found that the Delve specific filters tend to like being physically downloaded for whatever reason. Hopefully that has been fixed. But just in case it hasn't, it doesn't hurt to physically download it and load it before you enter the Delve event. You can just load it in standard, or in League if League is still going. I think it will be at that point. So either or, you can just load the filter. You just make sure that it is working on your machine. If it is not working for whatever reason, I will have a filter blade link where you can adjust anything there if you are familiar with that filter blade. If you are not familiar with filter blade, but it gives you an error message, you should be able to comment on that video below, and I should be able to figure out a fix for it based on the error message. So that'll be something that's coming down the pipeline pretty quickly. Then from there, kind of the next step is we'll try to do the same thing again, where we'll do kind of the first couple of days of streaming for the Delve League. Now I will kind of let you know I will probably go a little bit longer with Delve than I will with Mayhem at a time. Mayhem is fun and I do enjoy it, but it is, because it gets so hectic sometimes, it can like, it just drains me more than like Delve does for the most part. Like once you get past like level 5 of Delve, it's like just enjoyable experience until you get like really deep in specific mods. Now if you're going for the depth race, the build guide that I'm making should work for it. However, it's really more meant for if you are going to be trying to get like the level achievements. it will still work for if you're trying to race, but just know that basically the key to racing in Delve is really about time at the beginning. So if you are willing to put in a whole bunch of time, you're gonna have to go pretty hard to get to depth 300 in the first 24 to 48 hours, because that's essentially what the race will probably be over by. It goes pretty quick. And so just kind of keep that in mind, that it's normally not a slow race. It's normally a very, very fast race. So if that's something that you're interested in, just make sure you had the time set aside to do that, and the energy set aside to do that. But it is, like, normally my strategy on most of these events is, because I know that I'm not the fastest, especially at like leveling. I'm actually faster in Delve than I am in the normal campaign. And I think a lot of that is just because it gives you that little bit of starting gear. And I'm good at normally finding a way to maximize that initial starting gear. And, in unique ways of using it where it can really carry you till you get, nice upgrades. So the guides will kind of have that aspect to them. They are going to be a ranger guide, and it's going to be a couple of different ways of playing, kind of like how I did this time, where I gave you a whole bunch of shells of totems. It will be something similar with the Raider class, because I feel like the Raider class is really set up well for Delve and for clearing fast, and you can kind of play a multitude of builds and test out a multitude of builds before you really have to settle on one. And so that's kind of the game plan for Delve. But the trees are very, very similar throughout the start. I do recommend basically getting the elemental immunity very, very quickly. As you can tell from like the gameplay, it makes a very large difference in not having to be stuck into purity of elements. Is really nice for Delve, so you can double your survivability, which is pretty handy. And then here we are just mapping away. And so Yugal is interesting because it's kind of like a boss and not a boss all at the same time. You want to try to avoid as much of the slowdown balls as you can. And there we go. Terrace is complete, so now we have all of the basic ones out of the way. And we are getting more instilling orbs, which is fantastic. And I believe that's a good quiver. Mechanism, yeah, what do I not have? I know that's worth something, so we'll just save that, and I'll put it up for sale later. And then let's see. 8 intelligence, that's not really anything. We can just put those jewels. Oh, 9 chance to block, that's actually pretty good. Then I'll sell that guy. Then let's go ahead and, I don't know about a stack, but maybe like, yeah, maybe like that, just to get us some scrolls of wisdom going. And then for the next set of maps, we have another carcass, which I may do to try to get another museum and see if I can't just path essentially straight through and get to higher tier maps faster. If I don't drop a museum, then we'll just start running the other twos. I really prefer to get, like, because sometimes you can get it to work where you can drop like a museum into the next map. And when that's the case, it really, really does help your map progression, because you can essentially normally drop another 3 within that one. And then even if you don't get it, you can run the 3 again and hopefully get it that time. Early mapping is a little bit more difficult, but if you can try to stay off of one specific one, you can advance your map tiers a little bit faster, which just helps get through a bunch of the challenges that are associated with mapping, which is really, really helpful. You don't have to do it that way. You can do it where you just complete all of the tiers kind of as you level. Just notice the more that, like, the more maps you complete, the more maps that are basically essentially going to drop. So like it will always drop tier 1 maps and it will always drop adjacent maps. And so if you can get on a straight path lineage, it's kind of your best bet. Oh, another Quicksilver, fantastic. We don't really need spike gloves, so I'm not even going to bother picking them up. But if you're playing melee, like, those are good for you. Well, most melee. Some melee don't want to use spike gloves, but a lot of melee do. The implicit is very nice on them. Oh, ritual, nice. And as you can tell, it's kind of it's a different playstyle for sure. You do get some screen chaos, which is nice, from the totems as well as the lightning traps. I should kind of pick one of these and just stick with it for a second. Oh, there's another invasion boss. Oh no, it's not an invasion boss, it's just the gargantuan rare. Looked like one of the invasion bosses. And kind of the other game plan here is to try to get we want to get a decent Quicksilver flask, and then we can either use sulfur, which gives us a little bit of raw damage as well as a little bit of extra regen from the consecrated ground that it drops, or you can also use silver flask, which gives us a little more cast speed. Both of those are very, very good options. It just kind of depends on your own personal playstyle. Like, eventually, I would really like to have Onslaught somewhere in one of my setups, so I'm actually proccing it on my own, and then I can get that extra regen, because it does get helpful at times, kind of as a alternative to a health flask. The other thing is Aquamarine is very good too, just because it does give us the chill effect. We are also now running Defiance Banner as well as Purity of Elements, as well as Determination. So we kind of have all that going now, which does make us a little bit tankier. And as you can see, we're finally starting to get our life numbers a little bit good, on the good side. Still not exactly where I want to be on life, but a lot of that is just due to gearing. Hey, it's not doubled this time. That's nice. The last time I fought this boss, it was actually doubled, which was crazy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We're just kind of chilling, going through mapping, and working on that with Divine Arc Totems. Oh, nice. Museum. Sweet. And then once we finish out this little wing, we'll go ahead and go on to the next map. Try to take advantage of the density in here and not necessarily try to full clear them, but at least get, you know, your value out of them. For me, some people prefer to just kind of kill the boss and go. But since we need some gear, and there's definitely a couple of uniques that we're looking for, kind of a good idea to kill these invasion bosses because they do, at least in practice, seem to clear, get a little bit higher unique drops. I don't know if that's mathematically proven, but it just seems that way, so... Oh. Yeah, that exile is rough, and that's the bad thing about doing this kind of stuff. Okay, so this has movement speed. It also gives us up to maximum power charges, flat ant life. Those are pretty darn good, even if not necessarily great for us. So we'll kind of keep those on the back burner. Because plus to int, you never know when there's going to be a wander or the sort that will utilize that. We don't have enough instilling orbs, do we? No. We need 2 more and then I can make 2. So that part is useful. And eventually we'll get Chaos Res fixed. It's just Chaos Res obviously isn't fixed now, which is why the Forbidden Ret Guide just annihilated us. I'm negative Chaos Res even though I'm capped everywhere else. And a lot of that is just due to getting the cast speed rings. I kind of value the cast speed rings pretty highly. Especially since I don't have cast speed on my +1s. If I have cast speed on my +1s, I would probably be more willing to go into the actual, be more willing to actually go into the, drawing a blank. I'd be more willing to go into Chaos Res since we don't have that cast speed though. I really want Divine Ire kind of going off more, and so cast speed rings it is, just till we can get that part sorted out. Well, it helps if I turn on my auras too. Hopefully we can just stay out of range of this Mana Cipher and keep him kind of taunted. Good news is there's like the only one that's kind of a little bit scary is the Molten Magma Barrier, I think is the name of it. That's the really, like, scary one of all of them, and it's just because it doesn't hit the totems for whatever reason. It hits you, which is kind of lame, but it's whatever. I mean, Toxic's obviously not the best either, just because we don't have max Chaos Res or anything. I was hoping I could get those hands. Oh well. It is what it is. We're just not quite, we're not quite there yet. But we also do have another, I think next level? Yeah, next level we get a nice extra increase in cast speed. And then from there, we'll probably start working on endurance charge stuff. And hopefully get new gloves by the end of today's session. Or replacement. Something that lets us fix gloves in some way, shape, or form. Oh, you know what? I think I know exactly how to fix gloves. Because I think I took a 30 node that I did not need. I don't think I need this anymore. Oh, yep, I do. I do. I may get out of Pierce, because I think if I get out of Pierce, I can get out of that node and just get a lower leveled one. You don't need like max level Pierce, it's not that big of a deal. And it's definitely not worth using a 30 node to fix. So we will probably do that after this map. Go ahead and fix that Pierce and kind of go forward from there. And so now we'll just kind of go forth and keep doing what we're doing, you know? And but welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Happy to answer. Luckily, we're just kind of mapping, so we're past a lot of the scary stuff until we had to do Uber Lab, if it's anything like Merc Lab was, and I get hell rooms again, then it gets very, very scary. But for the time being, it's kind of chill. And this is really about as chill as Mayhem gets. So it is what it is. Mayhem's kind of crazy. And so, but yeah, lots of, it's finally getting very fun to play, which is good. With the cast speed finally starting to get there. It's not exactly where I'd want it yet, but it is at least getting there. But the main thing is we have pretty good, it's like good enough cast speed for most mobs. Even when they're really tanky, like they're just going to die. The other thing is, even though I'm going to have a different build for Delve, you can absolutely play one of the totems for Delve as well. Kind of the only one I would be very wary of on Delve is Shockwave Totem. And the reason behind that is just because your odds of solo self-finding, because basically that's what Delve is solo self-found. I don't even think it has a guild stash. The odds of solo self-finding and astral projection is extremely low. So I would probably stay away from Shockwave, and you kind of want that Nova in Delve especially. Like, the Nova really helps with clear more so than bossing. For the bossing aspect of Shockwave Totem, it's just fine. But like, there's none up for sale in Mayhem. And we're on day 3, and there's people that play a lot more than I do, right, and are a lot further ahead in it than I am. And so it does have a just something to be aware of, that it's it can get a little on the very hard to find side. And if it's really hard to find, I wouldn't recommend using a build that really wants to utilize it, just for your own sanity. But any of the others should absolutely work for Delve. And it's not that totems are necessarily bad in Delve. I do prefer ice and faster builds, ice and or chaos and or faster builds in Delve, and that's just because basically the way Delve scales, they just tend to help you live a little bit longer now that they basically gutted Spellslinger. Like, my favorite Delve build probably of all time is Volatile Dead DD, just because it's a lot of fun to play, and you can really explode some screens with it. But at the same time, like with the nerfs and everything like that, it's just not what it used to be. So I wouldn't recommend that specific build for that reason alone. The other stuff that's kind of good for Mayhem besides Totem is just anything that's really tanky. We'll just plop all this in and we'll deal with IDing it later. But anything that's really, really tanky tends to work out fairly well. We did not drop a 4 there, so I guess we'll go ahead and start working on these other 2s, hopefully increase our drop chance rate. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Oh, I forgot to do Pierce. I'll do it next time. Basically, I need to get a lower level Pierce. What that does is it gets us where we can get out of a 30 node and we can get a little bit more cast speed, just so the Divine Arc Totem feels even better than it does now, even though it's getting there pretty quickly. The next step from that is going to be getting the next step from that will be getting cast speed on a +1 lightning weapon, which we don't have, and unfortunately I don't have a suffix slot available on the 2 different ones that I have dropped that will give us +1 lightning. The other nice thing with going Divine Ire is you can also use +1 Fizz instead of just +1 lightning, so you actually have 2 different rolls that you can use. +1 lightning is better just because it also gives you your lightning trap more levels, which gives you better clear speed as well, but it is absolutely workable. The only ones I tend to not try to full clear are the breaches, and that's just because they take a little too long. Now, once you get Flash Breach, it's probably worth it to clear all the breaches, but I'll do like 1 out of 4 or 5, and just kind of kill them when it's dense, and then kind of move on. Welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer while I'm doing this stuff, but we're just kind of chilling and mapping using our lovely Divine Ire Totems, some lightning traps with Pierce on them for additional clear. Oh, that note's big. That gives us cast speed. Now, I normally wouldn't have gone all the way down to Totemic Zeal. The reason why I'm doing it right now is just because I don't have cast speed weapons or shield, even though I do have +1 lightnings on both of those. But once you get like really high cast speed on like weapon or shield, you can get out of that if you want to. Oh, magma barrier, how I hate you. And then once we get a glove upgrade, we can go ahead and basically where that fire trap is now will turn into Stormbrand. And that will be our culling ability. And it'll also have increased critical strike chance on it. So it can go ahead and help proc elemental overload for us. But our gloves at the moment won't support our lightning trap. So we're having to go without that for a little bit, but eventually we'll be able to get it, which will be super handy when we can.
I must have time to gather my will.
Oof. Prismatic and Mana Siphoner, that's a brutal combo. At least we got some Splinters of Ash out of the deal. Oh, and an Enkindling Orb. That's nice. And then this one, I'm not really worried about trying to clear just because it's Breach. The ones I try to more full clear are the ones that are like Harbinger, or I'll try to full clear like strong boxes. Those kind. This one's just kind of a, it is what it is. You know, it's okay, it's not great, but get a little bit of that going. Alright. So another bonus objective. One more and we get oil extractors, possibly from Blight, which is huge. What ring is that? Oh, Venom Puncture. Okay, yeah. The Bleed Ring. The Bleeding Crit Ring. It's a fun ring. Okay, before I forget, let's get a low-level Pierce and put that in instead of the level 16. Go ahead and unspec. Ooh. No, why is that? Is there something else that requires really high dex? Okay, so this requires 85, where we're at 100. This has 11 on it. Okay, let's go ahead and do that and just see what's off. Okay. Okay, and we're still off a little on the helmet. Do we have anywhere where you can craft? That could possibly get it. Guess it's unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to move on from that neck. Let's see what we got for amulets. If we have anything with, well, I guess I could type in cast speed. And see if we got... That's quite a bit more attributes. Okay, that fixed that problem. Okay, so now we have that point to work with. And then we can either come down here and get this regen and endurance charge, or we can start working on this endurance charge, or we can start working on these damage nodes in here. And I think that's what I'm gonna do, is start working on the damage nodes. All that can be sold. Actually, that chest might be worth... No, I'm gonna just get rid of it. I'd rather get Soul Mantle if I'm gonna try to 6-link something. So, let's go and run our main temple. Rare unidentified. And we'll kind of go from there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Just kind of mapping with Divine Ire and Lightning Trap is our support here. But we're just trying to get gearing going and start progressing that list. So it's the fun part of the initial struggle of mapping. But oh, cool! We got invasion. Invasion's fun. Oh wow, that's very early to find boss room. That's handy. So we'll get the boss room done, and then we'll continue exploring here. Crafting recipe. Yes, we want special defenses. Oh, and a souls map. Fantastic. Another tier 3. Always a good thing. Alright. So now... Ooh. Ouch. What are the mods? Oh, I don't know what the mods are because it's rare. An ID. I just know that we got quant rarity, pack size. It's a good amount of quant, so it's probably got something a little spicy on it. And we know we have invasion bosses for sure. And so, like, when you're seeing, like, the damage taken and that kind of stuff, just know all that's through, like, a whole pile of regen and stuff on top of it. And so, it's just, that's the way Mayhem is. It's kind of crazy. Expect to die. Because all it takes is one bad rare or one bad mod that can just shut you down. Luckily for us, most of the map mods are pretty doable. Oh, I think it was that guy that got us. And I can play more cautiously than I'm playing. But it's also a little more boring And who doesn't want to see the struggle bus of death? And then kind of what's the next stuff is we're just looking for
I must have time
basically
to
upgrades
gather
across the board, just better gear. Our gear is sufficient, but it's not great yet. And so you'll see me picking up certain stuff, and I'll do a lot of the IDing and trading and stuff when I'm not streaming. But I did want to get some gameplay of this for maps, so people can check it out and see if it's something that they're interested in. Because it is kind of fun to play. And that's kind of the thing with all totems, is they're just kind of fun to play. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Kind of just mapping through. And this is a invasion. I don't know the mods because it's an unidentified rare, so it's... But it's been alright so far. Just trying to up our map pool so we can keep advancing the Atlas. Where are we at? 25, that's probably good enough. 25 in these maps is like 1 in most maps. Rats. It's not too bad. Let's see if we can't make something out of some of those. But we did get a map upgrade, so that's good. So I'm going to do cells. And kind of keep going from there. What do we got here? Invasion bosses again, alright. So the nice thing about invasion bosses is you do tend to get quite a bit of uniques compared to normal maps. Like invasion bosses and exiles, you tend to get exiles you tend to get good jewelry from. Invasion bosses you tend to get uniques from. Harbinger you tend to get a lot of low-level currency from. Even though it's in the form of shards, it is very, very useful. So that's super cool. Because you can get like a lot of chaos or exalted shards and things of that nature. And you also get orbs of binding, which are just super useful, especially early on. Because not only does it give you 4 links, but it also gives you a rare. So like sometimes if you get a pair of like good item level for where you're at, it's sometimes just worth, 20 quality something, throw an orb of binding on it, and see what you get. Especially in this kind of an environment where it's not necessarily solo self-found, but it's not quite as elaborate as a normal trade league, where your options for gearing are much lower and your options for value are much lower, just because it is a more of a race type thing. And there's a lot less flippers in these events. They will still exist, but since it's a temporary league, there's a lot less incentive versus a league that will eventually go into standard, where it's highly valuable if you have like a whole bunch of divines or a whole bunch of chaos or whatever that carries over. So there's a little less incentive than to go ahead and do other things. But yeah, just kind of... We do have most of the cast speed that we're going to get on the trees, so the rest of it is going to have to come from gearing. So we want to kind of be on the lookout for necks that have cast speed on them. And then we really want +1 lightning level weapons and shields with cast speed on them. Once we get that going, then the divine Arc Totems will be super sick. They already are doing their job, but as far as like how quickly they're shooting the beam is all cast speed. So just kind of something to be aware of. The higher your cast speed number is, the quicker they shoot the beam and the more overall damage that you do. So sometimes it's the right call to use something like faster casting over another gem, because there is breakpoints on Divine Ire. And I don't remember the exact formula off the top of my head, but it is on the wiki as far as like the cast speed breakpoint formula, and it's also in PoB. So we may check that out and see how close we are to a breakpoint. Because it's weird. The breakpoints for cast speed are pretty significant with Divine Ire. I know we're way above the initial breakpoint, but I'm not sure how many we have gone through yet, because I haven't really plugged this character into PoB yet to see, since we added like the cast speed readings and such, which are pretty significant, because that's like 32 cast speed between just the 2 rings that I'm running. Oh, man, I had to go down here. Well, extractor, fantastic. Oh, that's spicy. Peter Fang plus map boss. Good times. Oh, and a fire starter. Installs complete. And we got our Chevron item card, so that's nice. Very, very cool. Gotta love the Shav items. Very, very handy. Alright, 0 monsters remain. Nice. So from here, it's probably worth going ahead and essencing and getting those going. Nice. Oh, a chateau card. Sweet. Or a chateau map.
Hail God's Slayer.
Actually, I might just keep that for the resistances. Let's go ahead and ID this just to make it less cooldown. Yeah, that's fine. Poison on hit might be a little bit scary, but that's alright. We need to do that tier 4. And hopefully we'll drop a tier 5 off of this, which will then turn into a tier 6, which would be lovely. And that would get us already into yellow maps, which would be pretty fantastic for like a little over hour and a half into mapping and being in yellows. Be really good, especially with me clearing a lot of these. Strongboxes are another one where maybe not the baseline strongbox is super worth clearing, but a lot of the specialty ones are. Oop, DD. DD still kills. Facts. Not necessarily the baseline strongboxes, but like Arcanist, like that's where I've gotten almost all of my instilling orbs from, which those are very, very powerful early on because it makes it where you don't have to pay as much attention to your flask management, and I'm just so used to them that often I forget to do them. Let's see, do we have anything? Not really anything that's super worth it. The gems, you can get Vol gems, which are handy, and you can also get you can also get superior gems, which is also handy because we can craft weapons with superior lightning gems, and we can of course buy weapons with currency. So those two are really good. Also Cartographer would be amazing, because Cartographer just crapping out a whole bunch of maps, better chance of getting a tier 4, another tier 4, or a tier 5. Oh, Ice Nova. Hey, Vol Ice Nova. Nice. Anything else? We'll grab these superiors. Yeah, it looks like it. Even low superiors are kind of worth it at this point. Let's see. Nope, none of those. Oh, Park. Tier 3, that's good. It's not the tier 5 that we want, but we need all the maps we can get. Oh, is that Diviners? That is a Diviners. Do I have crafting currency? Not really. Well, we may have to come back for that. Hopefully we can get some crafting currency. Like an Alk would be ideal. I may need to just start carrying that around until I can make all of the strong boxes rare and corrupted. Just, oh, there's Chance. Chance is great. Chance very strong with, yeah, you can always use more jewelry. Hey, Instilling Orb, that's really good. We may be able to go ahead and do one of our flasks. Oh, that was lame. That's a normal strongbox. Let's go ahead and go back to that Diviner so we don't forget about it. Alright, let's chance and hope for the best. Corrupted items aren't the worst you can get. Hey, there we go. That was pretty good. melodies are always nice, because if we can get, I want to say like 6 more of those, we get a tab, and then we can use that until we can get a proper 6 link, since we're only working on a 5 now. Or if we can get a 5 link soul medal, that is essentially a 6 link as well, because one of ours has to be Spell Totem, and that does include Spell Totem, which is very, very handy. Alright, another level. 76. Sweet. And that means more damage. More Fizz and Lightning. We're going to go ahead and get those 4, which basically give us a lot of percent Fizz to Lightning. And then they also give us a all of Fizz as extra Lightning, which is fantastic. And then the same thing as Fire. The reason that's so good is Divine Ire, despite it being a lightning spell, is technically a physical spell that is in turn converted to lightning. So we just get a whole bunch of extra damage by doing that, which is really cool.
Shall we light it up? I should also mention this might unearth monsters. You can take them.
Alright. Some ward gear would also actually be fairly welcome, just because... Oh, Orb of Unmaking, nice. Ward gear does give us a little bit of an extra buffer with the regen and such, which is pretty cool.
You did it.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will try to answer to the best of my abilities. But yeah, this is turning pretty well. Turning pretty well. So armors, unless you specifically need like very basic gear, I would kind of skip those just because they're normally not worth it. Same with the normal strong boxes and the large strong boxes. Like, they can give good stuff, but the odds of them giving good stuff is pretty low, so it's normally best to just kind of skip those. Ooh, Calandra. That can be good. And it was not.
I must have time to gather my will.
Less and less is showing up through the loot filter, so that's a sign that we need to get to higher level maps. Alright, Chateau is done, got that crafting recipe. Let's go ahead and start working on Essence Chance. 14, that's probably not worth doing. We'll go ahead and just get out of here. Ooh, we might have enough instilling orbs, which if we do, that would be fantastic. What do we got here? Melee. Spell suppression. Yeah. Nothing too terribly good in here. Alright. Did we get any 4s or 5s? We did not. But we do have a part to complete, so I guess we'll go ahead and Knock that out and hope to get another tier 4. Kind of where we're at right now. Then once we get our Uber Lab, we can get our Arcane Blessing. Which basically is going to give us some spell damage, which is going to be really welcome. And I believe it might even give us a little bit of cast speed. But next node, Divine Wrath, that we're going to pick up. So it gives us physical damage, is extra lightning, and that goes off the full spell's base damage. As well as Lightning Pin, which is fantastic. Then we'll get this physical to elemental, and then Divine Fury. So we'll get all that. We may go ahead and get Righteous Army and go ahead and get Spiritual Aid, and then come through and get these 2 minion life nodes, this attack and cast speed, and then Spiritual Command. That way, in case we get minion rolls later on, we do have... Wait, what? But yeah, that's a buddy that's played forever with me. Let's see if he's... He's not in this one. Okay. But yeah, so this is actually the guy that introduced me to Path of Exile years ago. But yeah, no, that's cool. It's good to see him trying it again. It'd be great if he'd league start again. He's a lot of fun to have around. But yeah. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. I don't think he's played this game in like 3 years, so it's gonna be interesting. What I may do is stop the stream after this just so I can get on Discord with him and kind of hang out for a little bit and maybe answer some questions for him.
I must have time to gather my will.
Oh, nice. We got a Harvey Lord, which is actually pretty cool. They normally drop like slightly better currency. Uh-oh. Magma barrier. Magma barrier is so dumb. I think Magma Barrier is the only like main one that they haven't messed with a whole lot. And it feels like slightly overpowered compared to some of the others. Which I'm sure they are doing that intentionally. They want to have like a really scary one if you attack fast. Or attack throughout multiple outlets like what I'm doing. Not that I'm necessarily attacking super fast, just 5 totems and lightning traps, you know? Just kind of happens. Storm Herald's another one that's like a little scary, but I think that the damage is low enough on that one where it's not as frightening compared to some of the others. Oh nice, Divine Ire level. That's big. So eventually we really want qualityed Divine Ire, so like we'll flip that because I believe it's cast speed again, which is just wonderful. The more cast speed, the better.
This way, exile. We need not the fruit, just the juice.
And so we're just preloading as much damage as we can. Should probably make that a different color, just so it doesn't
Must have time
stand
to
out
gather
so
my
much.
will.
In case there's like currency on top of it. Like I think the sound effect is fine. I think I just want maybe like a pink or something, just to make it stand out a little bit differently than currency. I mean, I'm gonna pick it up either way, so I guess it's fine, but because I will take all of the life force. Give me all of that. Okay, so Fresh Harvest feeling a little bit better than it did at League Start. That's nice. Because some of the stuff that they said that they changed is hard to tell when you're not League starting anymore and you have more investment and such. Because even if it's like dropping smaller amounts, like I think I got as much as I got from that one throughout like all of my first harvest, if not less than that. Yeah, that's pretty legit. 60, that's nice. Oh, there's still more. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, we'll take the 2s. So this will be my only one without a tier 3 beast. Let's see how this one goes. Vampiric Chaos Weaver. And that one had nothing. That's more like what I was used to.
This go.
Oh, shabby. Oh, shabby. Alright, one more unique map and we get or new map completion, and we get essences in every zone now that we have oil extractors. Oil extractor is like one of the best ways of making money earlier if you don't mind blight, and especially if you are going to filter out specific leagues so you play more blight. I feel like it's really strong, and you get it so early. If you just beeline to it, it's really good. Basically what you do is the ones that have gold oils in them in the recipe for the annoyance, essentially what you want to do is take those annoyance and use the oil extractor on them. Then what the oil extractor does is it has a chance to pull any of the oils, including the gold oil, which is normally like early on pretty close to a divine. So, and it really helps you if you need to do like more expensive necanoids. It really helps you accomplish that, where essentially like once you get going, you won't have any trouble with necanoiding anything that you want. Even if you aren't running blighted maps, like you can just do normal maps and get essentially any necanoid you want, which is really handy. It is slightly better if you do it with the Scarab just to give you more blights, but you don't have to, which is kind of nice. But obviously, like it does scale with investment to some degree. But if you don't want like super high investment mapping, very solid strategy, just to go straight into blooding it up. Ah, almost. Oh. And you'll notice I cast totems fairly quickly against stuff that's tankier, and the reason there is just for the taunts. Sometimes the best play is just to keep them taunted off of you. And there we go. Hey, we got some catalysts, that's cool. And an opal wand. I guess we can go ahead and see what stack deck is probably our best. We might as well get the unveil there. 5 remain. I think that's good enough. Then we can go ahead. Are any of these flasks really worth? That's not horrible, actually. did get 2 museums. That's nice. Ooh, that life regeneration rate and life is really nice. That has 2 good reses. We'll probably keep that helmet just in case we get something spicy. And then let's go ahead and gen this and unveil and see if we can't get trigger. We did not get trigger, however, we do have cast speed with Arcane Surge attached or double damage. Double damage is probably slightly better at this point.
War Knights.
But because we want the like Exalt Slam cast speed one, that one's really good. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop this for now. But I will catch you guys later. I appreciate all those of you that tuned in, and I will see you on the next one, Exiles.